Okay. Ati?
Gender inequality infers when men and women are not given equal rights and opportunities, which rises from societal perceptions and stereotypes of individuals based on their gender. This inequality can come in many forms and circumstances, and sometimes cause very unfavorable consequences that can affect both socially and economically to the world. Gender inequality is perceived by most as a discrimination against women, but the hidden truth here is that men are discriminated too, just that it is compared. An example could be national service in Singapore, where it is made compulsory for men to serve 2 years in military force, but not for the women. We'll discuss this matter further in the discussion. Today, Singapore has come a long way to achieve women equality and has minimized the gender gap to its best extent. It stands at 58th position out of the 136 countries in the United Nations Gender Inequality Index, which seems to have improved drastically over the decades. But the question we have here is whether it is enough to say that we have achieved complete gender equality in Singapore. So let us discuss this matter with this question in our mind. Gender inequality exists in Singapore, and it always will be.
I believe that gender equality in Singapore, and there will always be. First is due to differences in wages. Southeast Asian countries, the men earn more than women. Statistics shows that income inequality for women has risen gradually since 0.4 in 1980 to 0.473 in 2011 and to 0.478 in 2012. From this, we can infer that income inequality for women in Singapore and the rest of the Southeast Asian countries has been increasing, and that there will always be gender equality, and this issue will never be ceased.
However, in Singapore, the richest 50 people are all men. And even though many women try to fight for such top positions, men are usually voted into single positions in such a way they are unable to get a higher pay.
In addition to Darren's point, I would like to say that a lot of women are known to be unable to be promoted to a very high-end position, especially in large corporations and major companies. They always face this problem of glass ceiling, where males are being promoted faster than the females.
But based on statistics, right, in Singapore, the ratio of men per 100 women has been falling since 2007, which means that there are more women than men in Singapore. So we can't possibly really have equal amount of jobs in high sectors given to women and men. So therefore, women has a tendency to have lesser paying jobs than men. And based on statistics, since 2007 to 2013, from 982 to 968. So in 2007, the ratio of men per 100 women is 982, and the ratio of men per 100 women in 2013 is 968. So we can see that the number of men in Singapore is decreasing and the number of women is decreasing. So there are more women in Singapore than men.
In addition to the point where he said just now that women are actually earning less than men, and that there is this income inequality for women, I would like to add that there is actually an official reason why men earn more than women in Singapore. More money, they earn more because of this very reason, because of this compensation that they are given for their 2 years service in NS. However, it does not justify that the point made by Fountain, where it says that women are still not promoted faster.
I would like to add on that if we were to think ahead, most of the female workers, they may tend to get married and will have children. So people on the higher jobs, they choose not to go with them because if that were to happen, they will have a loss of worker during that period because they have to go on maternal leave. So if they have to go on that, there will be a loss in production in the company.
I want to on this point, which is motherhood matters. There's gender equality in the workforce. So, as for example, in Singapore Airlines penalize women due to their motherhood matters, such as for them not deciding to work for a short period of time or being pregnant. So these SQ girls, laborers, have to quit after their first trimester of their pregnancy. So also no maternity leave benefits unless it's given to them unless they are being able to secure a job in other areas of the workforce. And this discriminates women. Also, females in senior position SIA have very little years to be in this area compared to men who have retirement age of 57, whereas females have to retire at an early age, about 30 plus to 40 plus. And also, if they show signs of adding weight, their services will be terminated, whereas for men, it's not such a big issue.
For the point that they are dismissed from the job when they get pregnant, I believe there are other reasons for this. There are other really important reasons for this. One such reason can be the fact that we need to consider the safety of the pregnant woman. Is it really safe to fly to be a waitress on planes with a baby in the row and doing this service-oriented job that requires them to literally keep bending over as waitresses, beside the fact of the dangers of flight? So I believe there are other reasons for the fact that they are dismissed when they get pregnant, and it's not just a discrimination to discriminate women.
I agree with your point, but the fact is they are being dismissed, but they are not being able to attend back to the same workforce after the pregnancy, and this is a discrimination in Singapore Airlines against the air stewardess.
Why do you think they aren't able to go back to the workforce?
Basically, due to they have gained weight, first of all, and yeah, because they have to take leave some of the off and on to pick up the children. So Singapore Airlines feel that they are burden to them, and therefore they have to retire for this job.
But they can still join other companies with this experience in SIA in their resume. I still think it is a very great chance that they can get a job anywhere else in the airline workforce.
But it's discriminating in the sense that Singapore Airlines do not pay for their maternity leave, they do not provide any maternity leave, unless for the fact they are able to secure a job once after the pregnancy. So compared to other jobs in Singapore, where women are able to receive maternity leave, why in Singapore Airlines women are not being able to receive maternity leave?
I believe that you, by saying that, right, but the problem is that it's already in the job scope. They already know that if they were to be in this position, that they would rather have a child, then they would lose their job. And if they are willing to make that choice, then it's up to them. So it's really unreasonable to say that because it's SIA is not paying these air stewardesses after their pregnancy that they can't come back, then they're saying that that is gender inequality, because it is already stated in the job scope that if they were to be pregnant and have a child, they will not be able to work in that particular job.
I agree with what he stated. In fact, before you enter a job, you should already have been interviewed, and during the interview, they have already told you all the criteria, everything, and during your event in SIA as a Singapore girl, they already have given you what precautions you need to take, and also the consequences if you choose to take on maternity leave or if you choose to come back. So
I agree, and I agree to Yaki's point, especially since in women's blood it contains more water, which also results in 20% fewer red blood cells. Since red blood cells supply oxygen to the body, and with a decrease in red blood cells, they tire out more often. Okay, so in a firefighter's job, right, they have to put out fire, which is in a very smoky environment where there's lower amounts of oxygen. Having been unable to transport as much oxygen as guys, and having even a reduced oxygen environment, it causes females to be less suitable for this kind of jobs.
Just to add on to this point, so being a firefighter is like doing in brave jobs that girls usually either want to do or fear to do, like for example, construction workers or the national service. Those, because usually men are willing to, like, I would say, take up the challenge or like most of them are able to overcome their fears from heights or whatever. So I think that these jobs make sure that girls at the end of the day don't get like so-called afraid or in the end suffer like mental illness. So I guess that men are the ones that really suit more of these jobs. Really suit more of these jobs, and I think that if people want to, then they are to take up such jobs.
Frankly, I would like to disagree with the fact that you all say just by being a firefighter, then it shows gender inequality. Because even though this may be one of the small cases that they are unable to do that job, there are other jobs which men cannot do that a woman can. For example, the simplest would be a mother, like a surrogate mother, the one where you actually get paid to give birth. Yeah, then it's like, if that's the case, are you going to say that because men can't give birth, then that's gender inequality? Yeah, so I'm trying to tell that even though that's one side, there's another side to it that shows it's quite equal in that sense, in my opinion.
I want to find this point. In fact, this has always been for thousands of years or millions of years. Yeah. So I guess that that women can give birth to children, or I don't know whether there will be an invention where men will give birth to children. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but it has always been for millions of years. So I guess that will never change.
Going away from motherhood matters under gender equality, looking at decision-making position in Singapore, the number of women in decision-making position in corporations and business lag behind men due to the glass ceiling. So based on statistics, women in decision-making in parliament stands at 25.3% against the males at 76.6%. So from this you can see there's a huge difference between men and women in the parliament, and therefore there's gender equality.
Sorry for the clarification. Who is the parliament?
Yeah, parliament, there's 25.3 women against the males at 76.6%.
Speak up.
In every political parties that before they field a female candidates, I believe that most political parties in Singapore will have an extended branch from the party, that is the youth wing and also the women's wing. Now the women's wing of such political parties like organizes events specially catered to their gender interests and so forth. So I believe that even though that political parties don't usually feel women, but however I believe that in their own political parties, before it depends on the woman's ability, whether they are able to match up the standards with those of, I would say not of other genders, but of those of various people, be it a man or a woman, and I believe that political parties will also give like more, I would say, to be a little bit more lenient or more incentives to those who are in different sections of the party, like the youth wing or the women's wing, as I mentioned just now. So they will actually be, they will have like a more lenient chance, I would say, like a better or higher chance of being able to stand as a candidate in elections.
Apart from the fact that there is discrimination against women in Singapore, which we've been discussing so far, I believe there is actually discrimination against men as well, especially in national surveys, where it is made compulsory for males to join and serve the national service for 2 years, while it is actually not made compulsory for women. I believe that it is a discrimination for males because they have a very heavy load for the country soldiers have very heavy load because they have to protect the country plus the woman, because the woman has no idea of any military knowledge. So, and I think it is very unequal in the sense that Singapore is already a very small nation, and when in case of terrorism or any kind of war, every citizen is going to count. And when national service is made compulsory only for guys, I think this is a very big form of inequality.
I would like to point out that there is actually no sure way of saying who suffers more. Like, although the men, they have to go for national service and it may be a very tough time, but you cannot say that based on that then the women are suffering less or are not involved in any other activities that may cause them as much stress or pain. So I find that point is quite invalid to say that it is gender inequality in terms of being treated or whatsoever.
According to discrimination against men in Singapore, in undereducational, for differences in single-sex schools. So in Singapore, there's 18 females and 8 male schools. So from this, you can see there's an unequal allocation. There's unequal as there's huge allocation of single-sex schools towards the girls, and this unequal towards the boys. There's very few choices of school to attend to, and yeah, so most guys are in weak school because they lack the ability to go to single-sex schools due to the low standing of it in Singapore.
So there's discrimination against the guys.
Yes, as we can't go to such schools due to limited slots available. But supporting towards the female size, they are also being unequal in the sense that males have different learning styles, so typically they are more vocal and aggressive, and these characteristics can hinder females learning in the same classroom, who tend not to speak out about guys. So mixed schools might be a form of inequality for girls, and they are forced to learn at above average environment, so therefore they are being transferred to single-sex female schools.
I'll hate to point this out, but you shouldn't contradict yourself immediately. At least leave it to someone else to make that point. But that's a good point.
So far we've been saying that gender inequality do exist in Singapore, but does exist in Singapore, but will it always exist? Maybe someday it can evolve, as it is my question saying that it will always be. What are your opinions on that?
So are you trying to say that
Because the question,
gender equality will cease in the end, or will it continue?
yeah, that's the question.
Will it cease or will it continue?
That's the question.
Oh,
That's a valid question. technology or country development or world development. It is with the human side and effects of our human psychology. There has always been a differentiation between the different genders, and although it has improved over the decades, today we still find the society with stereotypes and sexism. I think it is a part of what makes humans in a way, and due to our will to make ourselves superior to others in order to survive, there is no way that we're going to be gender neutral in the future, at least in no time that we'll ever see.
For my opinion is that, like Yasi, I agree that gender inequality will always be present, due to the fact that male and female, our biological development itself is different. So from the very core itself, it is different. There are things that guys will be better at because of how our bodies have developed.
Vice versa, the females also have some characteristics that are better than males. Hence, in a way, it's balanced in that sense, and yet it's also unequal at the same time.
Before you go on, was there at any point a definition of equality?
She said,
Can you repeat that?
Equality?
Yes. What do you mean? When you talk about gender equality in particular, not just equality, but gender equality, what is the definition of
I
it?
actually define gender inequality,
Okay.
not equality. That women are not given equal rights, and men and women are not given equal rights and opportunities in the same treatment, due to the fact that there is societal perceptions and stereotypes of individuals based on their gender.
Okay, that's a very good definition. So where would the physiological and the physical differences come into the picture?
for the stereotype, because based on what you're born with, like how's your physical structure and whatsoever, people will think that, oh, this guy is maybe very big sized or muscular. So your stereotype of him is that, oh, he will definitely be very good at maybe labor, like physical labor and such. But maybe in the end he is actually better at being a lawyer, you wouldn't know. But because of that stereotype, then you maybe treat the person as someone that is more suited for less intellectually, less work that requires intellectual abilities. Something like that. That's one of the examples.
Do you have anything more to say?
Looking at this matter in another angle, we can also have the argument saying that there is actually no gender equality in Singapore, because saying how there is actually same laws and regulations for both genders in Singapore. When we can look at these, when we look at the laws and regulations, we can see that there are different laws of education and healthcare, economic and political empowerment, or the ownership of land and loans are all the same procedures and laws for both genders. So to say that there is actually gender inequality, then I believe that doesn't make sense in a sense, because in other countries, it is the laws, the divorce rights, everything is that differs according to the gender, especially in Pakistan, Yemen. But looking at Singapore, looking at the way the laws are made equally for both genders, I believe there is actually no gender inequality as I said here.
Yeah. That's not exactly true also. Because when you talk about the laws, there are differences. There are differences there as well. Because we do have a women's charter, for example. And so, it's not entirely equal, having said that. But you're right to bring that in also. Because some of the previous examples we brought up, which is why I asked for the definition again. It's a question of perception of the differences, perception of the stereotypes. You know, but some of the examples you brought up were actually, yes, you know, it was because of differences in physiology, okay, in the physical, you know, makeup of the male and female. So, you know, halfway it went all over the place. Right? So I wasn't quite sure where you were getting at. Maybe partly also because, for some of you, I can't hear the difference between your equality and inequality. Okay, I think that's, yeah. Huh? You see, you're contradicting yourself. Anything else to add before, you know, other comments?
If not, can you all summarize?
Does anyone have any more points?
According to this point that women are being treated equally in Singapore, so like in Singapore, Singapore currently has the higher number of women politicians in senior positions. In senior positions to be stated clearly, not normal positions, like senior position in the legislative history, such as Mrs. Josephine Teo and Dr. Amy have been promoted to senior ministers from states. So also Madam Halimah Yacob is the first elected Speaker of Parliament, and since 1955 there has not been any female. So this shows that there are opportunities given to women and inequality is being reduced, but it is not being eradicated. And also, this shows that women are not left behind in the society and their contributions are being valued for, and also they are being rewarded for it.
So, anyone has anything to add? No. Okay, so can I invite Hunting to actually summarize the whole discussion on gender equality?
Okay. In a nutshell, what we have discussed today is that indeed there will be gender inequality in Singapore, and there always will be. However, there are some cases where, of course, there are some rights that show that gender inequality can be debated. Some of the points include the genetic makeup of female and males, the physical makeup of female and males, the abilities of female and males, and because of that, it justifies our stand that there is gender inequality in Singapore currently.
Don't be nervous. Huh? Do you have anything more to add?
That will be all today.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Green, you have comments for them?
No. Okay. Use of data is the one. Kevin in particular, a real data bank. A lot of figures, facts and figures, there are a lot of numbers and all that. But I think it's important to really emphasize the point, you know, as to why you brought up the data. Yes, I know you were trying to make a point, but what exactly is the point? After all those numbers, the point is lost. So you must always come back to what you're trying to say, with those facts and figures that you want that you brought up. The same thing for research as well. By the way, the research on firefighters, you know, when you were talking about firefighting and the difference between the black, the male and female, is that true?
Stand by your data.
Where did you get that from? I'm asking you also because we didn't actually cite the authority for that research. I think it's important. If you want to give it any credibility at all, then you need to give, you know, that authority. Don't get too caught up with any particular example that you brought up. This thing about SIA, for example. There was a lot of discussion about it to the point that at some point it became almost a discussion on SIA, the policies, and whether they were right or wrong and all that. You know, don't get too caught up in that. Move on to something else. that there wasn't all that much discussion on the other points that were raised. Somehow the point didn't get expanded or stretched enough to make your point. Except for the SIA one, and then that got lost because it was no longer about that topic or that issue, but it really was about SIA and their policies. Okay. Generally, I mean, I think work on these few things first.
Okay, the reason why you're on board of this is not because we send you out for competition. I think you're so caught up with your facts, your not whatever research you've done. It's like you're sitting at a test, an exam. No, it's really just see it as an exchange, short-term exchange program where you interact with young people of your age from different schools as well as other countries. You can't be spoken. No. Be yourself, that kind of free flow exchange of ideas and stuff like that. Don't assume that you go in, you must be perfect, you know everything. Not possible. Okay? You go in with that spirit that you really want to learn, you want to hear from one another, and then contribute your ideas and stuff like that. Let it be very free flow. Otherwise, it's like, okay, what's next? Check, spoken. No, and then when you stop fumble, right, then you keep looking, where did you stop? Don't do that. Because normally when you talk, you don't do that. Do you? Because when you're in class, you're different. Your ideas come out. When you ask a question, when you pose a question, it's very free flow, very natural. I think the conference, you are supposed to have that. Probably because we are here today.
At the very least, you need to make it look like that. It's free flow.
Just imagine guys, how about sit around, the ideas bounce. I think it's going to be like that.
Yes.
So don't hold back, even though you want to shoot, just very tactfully, very polite. Pause.
At the same time, of course, do think first before you speak. Because you've got to get a point across clearly. And sometimes the clarity is not quite there. You're trying to say. That's one thing. The other thing is, of course, language. You mustn't forget in expressing a point, your grammar as well. I think that's certain things to look out for. That one I'll leave it to you.
So when you speak with confidence, look at the person in the eyes. Speak. You have to do that. And your body posture, everything, all comes in.
Speaking is one thing, listening also. Because if you're going to have that free flow and exchange of ideas, you're going to have to listen to other points as well. It's not just a question of, okay, what can I say next? And you're just looking at your own. You've got to be listening. Because anyway, you do want to learn from this. Which means that it's not just being there, putting up a good show, but for you to listen and also to learn from other people as well. Never mind if you get stuck for a while. You catch up. It's no problem.
Will you let them intimidate you?
It's a very good experience.
Maybe we should have more tea session of such.
Yeah, just talk. Oh, love it for that.
Yeah.
Right?
I find it fun.
It'll be good. We can involve more students actually, so that they can learn from them as well.
No, more students, open to more.
Hello, that's why I think you're listening to people.
So sometimes you can just come up with a certain topic or certain theme and then be open to students, you invite them to come in, that kind of session. Yeah, and solely run by students with teachers.
Assisted.
Because after a while it becomes very natural for you. You build your confidence there.
It's good preparation, especially if you can go to the JC. How it's going to be.
course, right? JC. Okay.
That's about it.
Alright.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
comments.
Thank you,